if you feel a little lost at this point in time with how to better yourself, if you feel a little depressed because you don't like the situation you're in, if you feel just confused on what are the next steps to take, just know that you're not alone. I am a person who is basically restarting his life at 27, coming from having a career that he thought he wanted and having things working out for him, but just having to change his whole life at 27, right? It can be a little confusing when you thought your life was going to go one way and then you have to pivot or take a whole another direction that you didn't think you were going to take. And trust me, I know it feels uncomfortable because, again, my background was in video production. That's all I did since I was 17. But even before that, I've always like picked up a camera and always made films and stuff like that. I never saw myself in the position that I am in now. Now, it's not a an all is lost position, right? I just have to adjust certain things, but I've always found myself just always producing video, always doing that, and etc. as my main job, right? It was actually a part of my identity at a point. I had an identity crisis when I realized that I had to change who I thought I was because I attached myself to this specific character that I wanted to be. Again, this producer, Hollywood, this or that, this business person and stuff, right? And that's stuff that I'm still actively working on. Like I haven't put the brakes on that just because like I feel like, you know, the change is just make it a side hustle for now and build that over time. And you know, you never know what's going to come out of that. Obviously, like, you know, if something's not working, it's not working. But for in my particular situation, I gave myself 5 years to try out my business up until I was like, you know what, like I gotta like divert, you know, because things don't happen overnight, but you also can't do everything forever, right? But I'm saying that because, like, again, I have never been a hands-on person, like ever. Like when I had my first son, right, I didn't even build his crib. I had my dad build it, not because like I couldn't do it, it's just I didn't trust myself doing it. I always told myself, I was like, you know, I don't want him to be sleeping in the crib one day and then like one night he just like falls through the crib because I didn't build it right. I just never was that type of person. And whenever my dad tried to introduce me to like anything motor or like anything like that, I just was not interested because I just was not a hands-on person, right? Now, me always saying I'm just not a hands-on person doesn't help my situation to try to get to being a hands-on person. But what I'm saying is, like, I've always been like a computer person, a mind person, a talker. Never just the you know, lifting stuff, building stuff type of man. Like, it's never been like that, right? But I'm in a situation now where I am forced to take a trade, right? Now, it's very, when I first like had that realization, right, it was a very scary thing, and I was just like, damn, I failed at everything. Like, I remember literally writing my first cover letter trying to become a plumber, right? And I laugh at this because I remember when I was doing this and I just could not write that cover letter. I'm like, yo, like I really just fucked up. Like I just cannot believe I'm doing this, right? Because I was so attached to like this thing that I thought I should be, right? And like when you think about it, it really doesn't make any sense because who is saying that you have to be that thing? Who is saying that you have to lock yourself into this? You're putting more stress into yourself because you're locking yourself into an identity, right? And I was reading this from a book too. It was called Atomic Habits. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have heard of it because that's like one of the number one books somebody recommends. But at the end of the book, they were saying like, you know, do not attach yourself to an identity because if you have to leave that identity, you will have problems, right? So it's like instead of saying that you are, I don't know, like let's just say it like me, for example, right? I'm a video producer, right? Instead of saying I'm a video producer, say I'm a person that likes to put things together. Because if the video producing doesn't work out, I can pivot into something else where I can put things together, like, you know, in terms of a project. And that's why I landed on wanting to be a construction project manager because I can put projects together, right? Runs construction and filmmaking, or they run hand in hand, right? Same thing. If you're late, if you're early, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time, right? They run basically like the military. There's like, it's a no bullshit environment, right? But there are also different departments that like work towards one goal, which is like, you know, building a house or whatever it may have. It's the same thing in production. You know, there you have different departments who are putting together like one film, right? So instead of me thinking I have to be this one thing, I just looked at what I like to do, and then now I'm an aspiring construction project manager, and that's what I'm working towards, right? And again, like it's very uncomfortable because I never saw myself in this position, but like again, you have to adjust to like your situation and like what just makes sense as a whole, right? So you know, for somebody who is trying to like put their life together and like make a difference and stuff like that, like, you know, I would start with like thinking about like what you like to do, right? Not a passion, right? But what is something that you can do consistently? What is something that, like, even maybe from your passion, like how could you translate that skill and that love for that skill into something else, right? Then I would also look at, like, you know, is that thing that I'm trying to pivot into, like, is it future proof? Is AI going to take over it? Is like the job market going to be that hard? Do I have to move away from it? Is it going to be a high income? Like, I would look into things like that as well too, just to start thinking about like how to do the transition. Because like I can tell you one thing right now, like if you continue to do the same things that wasn't working before, you're always going to be that same spot, and like time is going to move, and then when time moves, like you're going to be there 10 years from now, like, and you never made that change, and then like now like you're really fucked, because now again, like instead of you being in your 20s trying to figure it out, you're in your 30s trying to figure it out, right? And like even worse, now you're in your 40s trying to figure it out. And like, you know, I also wouldn't put a time frame on anything either, because I was also very locked into this time frame. I was like, you know, I should be a certain thing by 30, blah blah blah, right? And then when I first did my transition, like to like moving into my mom's house, I remember like I was trying to get some unemployment from my last job, right? Because that's a whole story for like a whole different day, right? And I was just like so upset because like I did not have my life in order, like at all. Like I'm telling you, like again, I was living in my apartment after the split happened, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have health insurance. I didn't have an ID because my ID expired. Like I just didn't have myself as a person together, right? So when I came to my mom's house, like I just felt like I didn't know how to do anything, like at all. Like I felt like I didn't know how to do anything, but I had to start from the baby steps to work up to the bigger steps, right? So it's kind of like, okay, the first thing you need to do is switch your mailing address to New York, right? That's number one. Step number two is like, now you got to get a new ID now, right? And then like, you know, and then in my head I'm like, okay, but like I need to start driving and blah blah blah. Like I'm thinking about like things that are like step number 10 when I don't even have step number 2 done, right? And I think that's where we end up messing up at. It's kind of like we think about the where we want to be without taking those like smaller steps, right? And then when we just try to think about like the step 10, we get like demotivated. It's very much more stressful, and then we're just out of it. We don't have it anymore, right? So I'm bringing that up because again, like if you're trying to fix your life, you're trying to transition into something else, right? Everything is going to be baby steps, right? It's kind of like when I first started in production, right? Like when I first started trying to move out my mom's house and trying to get into production, no jobs were hiring me because I didn't have a lot of work done, right? But I had to keep on going until like I was able to like land an internship and then like work my way up from there. Now 27, I'm trying to break into a whole new industry with no experience in construction or even being hands-on. It's very uncomfortable, but I know this is the right decision for me, and I like what I've been seeing off my research, right? But instead of being like I need to be this big project construction manager out the gate, what are the smaller steps that I need to get there, right? So for example, one of those things is having my license, right? I am from New York City. We don't have our licenses, right? I just got my permit recently, and now I'm waiting to take driving lessons to get the license, right? Now instead of me being like, oh well, I don't have the money for a car, it's just like, okay, it doesn't matter, get the license, because you know that this market needs a license for you to maybe drive their own cars and stuff like that. So yeah, you don't have a car, but just get the license, right? That's one way where I can work my way up into getting into the job I want to then get the car, right? Another thing that I would need, right, is my OSHA certifications, right? So if you're in construction or any type of crazy labor, right, you need something called your OSHA certifications, OSHA 10 and OSHA 30, right? I used the money that I had to get those certifications, so then when I apply to jobs in construction or whatever, they can actually take me more serious, because I spent I did the investment to get those certifications so I can be on a job site, right? And after my research, they say that they like those type of things, right? If you're trying to break into the industry and you don't have those basics, you're not going to be looked at as like taken serious, right? So a license is one of those things, but the OSHA certifications is those other things, right? So I have that down, right? I have my permit. All I need to do is take the driving lessons, which I need money for to do the lessons, and then I'll have my license basically, right? But how do I get the money to get my license done, right? And then like again, like I'm trying to think of ways. Obviously I need a job, right? Now I'm trying to like do a job where it helps me like build my career and not take something random. But does that make any sense? Because I could be taking longer and getting an income to get the license to then like be able to pivot, right? I just need something right now to get that. I have grace because I'm staying with my mom, right? My mom is, I don't want to say she's easygoing, but she understands my situation, right? And as long as I'm doing what I have to do to switch out my situation, I'm in school, blah blah blah, and like you can see me doing everything, she's not gonna bother much, right? Just help around the house, do this and that. Again, I'm very grateful for my parents, right? So those are the type of things that you need to look at when you're trying to change your situation and transfer and grow into something else. Again, I'm a person who was never a hands-on person, right? But I'm actively on YouTube. I'm actively looking at apprenticeships. I'm actively looking to programs, like free programs that like give woodworking stuff, because what I want to actually do is carpentry, right? I want to like do woodworking and carpentry because I feel like that trade makes more sense to me, right? But if I want to be like the construction project manager, like I just need to have experience in the trade. So at this point, it's kind of like, I will always still invest in my carpentry, but it's just like, can I have an apprenticeship somewhere else where it makes sense? There's certain things I'm not going to do because, again, I don't like heights and I don't want to be in wells and on the water and stuff like that. But like, you kind of have to just roll with the punches when you're trying to transfer. Now, one of the reasons why I made this channel is because like I have been really taking in other people's lives, right? I have been really just looking around and looking at like, what people are stressed with, how is it like living in the modern times, and like blah blah blah, and people just feel like everything is impossible at this point. And like, yes, things are expensive, wars are going on, people are just weird at this point. I understand that, right? But if you saw my last video when it came to like the dating at this point in time, like I said in that video that I'm very stubborn, right? And I'm stubborn with everything in life. So it's kind of like, even if things are hard at this point in time, I'm not gonna sit down and lay down and die, right? I rather die fighting and trying, because I don't want to be 20 years from now being like, well, I didn't try and I'm in a worse situation, right? So I'd rather be stressed about trying to get all this stuff together than just laying here playing video games all day and not really doing anything with myself, right? I just never been the type of person to not do something, and that's what I learned about myself. It could be video production, it could be construction, it could be me owning my own construction business. The point is, I always want to be building and doing something, and that's part of like why I have this YouTube channel, right? Because again, I want to document like my progress, share my experiences, have it for my sons, so they could like learn about their dad, and like also learn about just like stuff that they how to think about going about life in their time, right? Because there's certain fundamentals that you're gonna need. So it's like with this video, it's kind of like you always need to have a plan, and you always need to just roll with the punches and not just be hyper focused on this or that. Because if you're hyper focused on this or that, then you're never going to take the steps to actually get to the bigger thing that you want. So again, like I said, if I want to be in construction, if I want to be that project manager, I can't just go out there and start applying for that, right? I need my OSHA certifications. I need my license, right? So instead of not trying to do that, what are the things I can do to get those little things to then get the bigger thing, right? So that's just how you got to think about it. So whether you are stuck in an industry where, you're not making a lot, or you're unemployed, actually, if you're unemployed and you want to make a pivot into something, again, do your research, look at what's high income, look at what is going to be needed over the next couple of years. And even if you never saw yourself doing that thing, try, because everything that you start out with is going to be very uncomfortable. I mean, it's kind of like, that's why I appreciate my business background, because again, I was an entrepreneur for like 2 years straight, like just straight, right? So like, if you ever owned your business and you did it like full time, you would know everything is stressful. Like, like trying to like keep website up, where the money's coming from, dealing with a client and stuff like that. And I'm grateful to have had that experience, even though I was killing myself doing it, right? Coming back out into the real world, I would say, or like to like, I guess like what's more normal. Like I've taken experiences from there and I'm able to apply it to here. So like I'm able to roll with different punches. I know how to pivot. I don't get scared of like uncomfortability, because running a business is always uncomfortable, right? So like that's something that I'm just used to now. And again, when I first did my transition and like over here thinking that like, I wasn't shit in life, you forget that stuff at certain times. But like, you always have to have motion. If you don't have any type of motion in what you're doing, you're always going to be stuck. So my advice to anybody who is trying to work out of a situation is you always have to have some motion, and don't like get stuck in the, oh, it doesn't matter if I try, because it's never going to work out. Because if you have that mindset, it's never going to work out. Once again, it's like the last video talked about dating, and I was on a video where somebody was talking about dating and stuff like that. If you have the mindset where like girls just are never going to date you because they're like this and that, you're never going to be able to go on a date, right? There's no way out of the billions of people on this planet that all of them are just trying to stick your pockets or are just very selfish and stuff like that. People grow, people learn, and things are not always going to be like this. There's going to be a pushback when it comes to certain things, right? So things will, I feel like things will be more people are gonna yearn for more authenticity in the future, just because so much things are artificial at this point in time. So it's kind of like, again, but if you don't have that motion, then you're never gonna be in the promised land when that's people want that, right? You're just gonna be always like, oh, I hate this, I hate that, blah blah blah. So again, take it from somebody who was really stressed out, because I dealt with a lot of depression when I first had to make my transition. And I'm like, damn, I had to get a regular normal job, right? And I'm still working out of it. I'm not a person who has this all figured out at this point. I definitely don't. But what I could say is like I have clarity because I have a stern plan, right? Stern plan. I'm working on my side business on the side. I have a main career that I want to go towards. I'm still fairly young. I'm 27. I turned 28 in October, right? I'm also in college again, right? Where I can do things at my pace, and I'm not paying $40,000 to get a degree. Like from my research, my degree and my whole time there should be $8,000 possibly, but it wouldn't matter, because if I had a high income job, then that's gonna be all that stuff could be paid off for, right? But like, if you're not having any type of motion, then nothing's ever gonna get fixed, is what I'm saying. So just take it one step at a time. Take make a plan, do some research, take a week, don't stress out about it, give yourself a break, and then try to make a plan on the steps on to get to that next big thing, and just hit the little steps to get to that big thing, and then go on from there. So again, if you want a car, you need your license first. You don't have your license, you need your permit first. You don't have your permit, you need to take the 5-hour class. You see what I'm saying? They're stepping stones to everything. And I feel like with social media and like how people post and stuff like that, like we forgot that things don't happen overnight, and like in a weird way, like, trying to fix my life and like how things go, I'm starting to see like, yeah, things are steps. The only thing that you're going to go wrong with is if you don't take those steps, and if you just sit and like you get distracted with social media, or like, women, or just playing games all day. Again, I'm not saying to not have your fun. Have your fun when it comes up, but like fun should not be your priority. Like, researching and developing a plan and taking those steps, towards the right plan and like towards what you want is what it should be. And again, there's gonna be rejection along the way. I mean, I just had an interview yesterday to work at a wood shop, and I got rejected like from the guy opening the door, which is a story for a different day. I don't know what the fuck his problem was, but that happened. But did I walk out angry and stuff like that? No. I learned something from there. I had a program where I was supposed to go into for a 7-week program to learn woodworking, completely free. Got to the 4th stage, the final stage, was told that I didn't get in, but I could reapply in May. Am I going to sit here and be like, oh no, I'm not? No, I'm going to reapply in May and get into the program and like see what happens from there, So roll with the punches and take those baby steps. Just know what to attack first. Don't try to attack 60 things at once. You're going to overwhelm yourself. And take it one step at a time. So I'm curious to know, is there anybody out there who is like trying to work towards something that they didn't think they was going to be doing? Did they have to pivot? Is there any aspirations where like, you want to work towards? It doesn't have to be in a trade. It could literally be in anything. I would like to hear like how that has been for you, and like what are the steps you took to towards working towards your goal, because I think a lot of other people would like to see that as well. Like everything is not an overnight thing. And if you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and always remember that life is a game.